Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at Module 1, Video 2, Understanding Python's Exception Taxonomy, from our course on production-grade Python exception handling for AI applications. Python actually has a ton of documented public built-in exception classes. It might sound like a lot, but we're going to keep things super practical and beginner-friendly. We'll be breaking down this robust taxonomy into manageable groups, specifically exploring root classes, everyday runtime exceptions, and those unique warning categories. By the end of this explainer, you'll be able to differentiate these core groups, understand how they connect, and ultimately make much smarter recovery decisions for your code. Sound good? All right, let's jump right in and look at the map. So, let's start here. Python has this incredibly robust public hierarchy of built-in exception classes. And don't worry, we are definitely not going to sit here and list out every single one of them today. But getting a feel for the general shape of this map, that's absolutely crucial if you want to write truly resilient code. When you understand how these errors group together, you stop just guessing and you start making deliberate, smart recovery decisions. Just to give you a real sense of scale, though, there are exactly 68 documented public built-in exception classes in Python right now. 68. I know, seeing that number, it kind of feels a little overwhelming at first glance, right? But seriously, take a breath. We are not treating this like a dictionary to memorize. Instead, we're going to chunk these 68 classes down into highly digestible operational families. So, as we laid out a moment ago, our main goals today are pretty straightforward. We want you to be able to easily differentiate between root classes, concrete runtime exceptions, and warnings. We want you to see exactly how they all group together. And most importantly, we want you using those families to make better, faster recovery decisions. Let's get to it. Here's our quick roadmap. We'll kick off with the taxonomy overview, then look at the roots and base families and concrete runtime exceptions. After that, we'll branch into the OSCR branch, touch on warning categories, and finally wrap up with exceptions in AI systems. All right, Section 1, the Exception Taxonomy Overview. Moving right along to Section 2, Roots and Base Families. Okay, so the absolutely crucial thing to know here is that base exception is the root, the literal foundation of all built-in exceptions. But, and this is a massive catch, here's a core production rule you've just got to remember. When you are making your own user-defined exceptions, they should almost always inherit from the standard exception class, not from this base exception root. That's super important. When we look at these roots and base families, you'll see base exceptions sitting right at the very top. And directly below it, that's our standard exception class. We've also got base exception group, which is fantastic for handling multiple concurrent errors, along with warning for system flags, arithmetic error, and OSCR. Now, why is this actually useful? Well, knowing the parent of an exception tells you exactly how to handle its children. Like if you see an error that stems from OSCR, boom, you instantly know you're dealing with a system or I/O failure. Which brings us to Section 3, concrete runtime exceptions. This breakdown brilliantly illustrates why knowing this taxonomy actually matters in the real world. On the left side here, we have fatal control flow exceptions. Think keyboard interrupt or system exit. These stem directly from base exception. You absolutely positively must not swallow these errors. Your only job there is to finish your cleanup and let them propagate so the system can actually shut down. But on the right side, we have recoverable runtime exceptions stemming from the standard exception class, like value error or type error. These are completely different. They need local validation handling. You catch them, fail a current request, but you definitely don't crash the entire application. Looking closer at those concrete runtime exceptions, you'll spot the usual suspects: type error, value error, memory error, and import error. And here's a pro tip. Tying these specific errors to highly relatable scenarios is what helps us design really narrow, effective exception boundaries. For instance, say you get a bad user request with totally mangled data. That's going to trigger a value error. Because you've isolated that specific error, you can return a helpful, human-readable message to the user instead of just blindly failing and leaving them in the dark. Let's shift gears to Section 4, the OSSR branch. This OSRS branch is basically your command center for system-level and I/O-related failures. We're talking about your file not found error, timeout error, connection error, broken pipe error, all the fun network stuff. Being able to recognize these specific connection and timeout errors is a real superpower. Why? Because it dictates exactly when you should safely implement bounded retries. Like, if you get a timeout error, sure, wait a second and try that network call again. But if you hit a file not found error, you need to fail fast. There's literally no point retrying if the file simply doesn't exist. Moving on to Section 5, Warning Categories. So a warning category is technically an exception. It actually inherits right from that exception base class we talked about earlier. However, Python documents these entirely separately, and that's because conceptually they belong to the warnings mechanism, not the standard error flow. In fact, Python actually just ignores some of these by default when you're running regular release builds. Inside these warning categories, we've got things like user warning and deprecation warning. But the one I really want to put a spotlight on is resource warning. Now, ignoring a resource warning might seem totally harmless, especially since, like I just said, Python often ignores it by default anyway. But listen to me, in long-running systems, especially in production, a resource warning is the absolute earliest signal you'll get of leaked files, dangling subprocess pipes, or unclosed network sockets. If you don't address them early, they are going to quietly exhaust your system resources until things break. All right, which leads us to a really fascinating question. How does this whole built-in taxonomy apply directly to the intense complexities of modern AI systems? Let's zoom out a bit and pivot from our theoretical map, straight into the real-world, high-stakes terrain of AI and production environments. And that is Section 6, Exceptions in AI Systems. Let's compare two totally different exhaustion scenarios that you'll see in AI. On the left, we've got Python's standard memory error. This tells you you've hit host memory exhaustion. Your playbook here, probably shed some load or just restart the worker entirely. But look over on the right. Here we have PyTorch's torch.cuda.outofmemory error. That represents device memory exhaustion on the GPU itself. In this case, your recovery action is totally different. You probably just need to reduce your batch size or maybe trim down your sequence length. The absolute key takeaway here is that these two are not twins. Correctly identifying host versus device memory exhaustion drastically, fundamentally changes your entire recovery playbook. So here's how you actually apply this taxonomy to AI runtimes day to day. Number 1, prepare for memory pressure degradation. Number 2, handle exception group properly for parallel runtime failures, because those are super common when you're working in orchestration layers. And number 3, treat resource warning as a hard error in your test suites. You want to catch those machine learning serving leaks as early as possible. By stepping beyond just writing simple try and except blocks and actually leveraging this specific taxonomy, you are empowering your AI system to gracefully degrade rather than just outright crashing when things get tough. Which leaves us with this final critical question for you to consider today. Are you just catching arbitrary errors, or are you actually making strategic recovery decisions based on their exact place in the Python taxonomy? It's time to rethink exception handling, folks. It is not just some neat trick to keep a script limping along. It is a deliberate, powerful architectural design discipline. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you all in the next one.